Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at Disney Plus, and I'm joined by Christopher, Ellis, and Willis, who have worked on a number of Disney projects. But I'm going to let them kind of give an introduction and some of the projects that they've been working on. So over to you.
Yeah.
To you.
I'm Christopher Willis. I'm a composer and songwriter, and I've been doing the music to a lot of different Mickey Mouse and other Disney-related things for over a decade now.
Crazy.
And we've been writing songs together for Mickey Mouse for most of that time.
I'm Elyse Willis, and as Chris said, we do write songs together. Mostly I'm a singer. I sing on films and TV shows, video games, anything like that. And so we've been collaborating a lot on the Mickey shorts, on the Lion Guard, and I've been fortunate enough to sing on lots of other pretty substantial Disney projects. It's been a nice little run, actually.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I was looking through IMDb, and I was going, "Wow, you have worked on a lot of massive projects."
I've been very, very fortunate. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, see which Disney was like." Oh, everyone looked.
Well, yeah, it's been a nice time for singers. I think maybe it's just some sort of renaissance or trend in using lots of choir and, having big vocal moments. So I'm happy to be riding that wave.
So I've got to ask, which ones have kind of been your favorite to work on from like the Disney side to sing on?
Well, Frozen 2 was amazing. Getting to sing Show Yourself, it was 10 of us doing the backing vocals in Warner Brothers, which is a pretty big studio. So it just felt very special. Also WandaVision was super fun, doing those theme songs. So we actually recorded all of the theme songs in one day. And for that gig, actually, we did not know what we were walking into. So we just knew that we'd gotten hired to sing something fun, but we didn't know what the project was. We didn't know what we were about to do. And we walked in and they were like, "Hey, surprise, we get to do all these songs today." And it was just really great. And I see that you're a Star Wars fan, possibly, gather correctly. So yeah, getting to work on Star Wars and be a part of John Williams' like very last session for Star Wars, like not only the last movie, but like the last day that he recorded, we had full orchestra and 100-person choir in the room with him. And so that was pretty monumental, I would say.
Everyone in the choir seemed to be talking afterwards about there's just moments when the choir wasn't needed and you all sat down and you were just listening to the brass and some of the huge cues that they were doing the rest of the time.
Yeah. It was a party. Like there were people there who probably wouldn't normally be at a recording session, but everyone knew that it was such a big deal because it was the last day. So it felt really special to be there.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So I'm going to ask, with regards to the Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse, how do you come up like with the overall like sound of like each episode kind of thing?
Well, there was a big conceptual discussion at the very start of the Mickey Mouse shorts, which is technically a different show from the Wonderful World.
Yeah.
But the Wonderful World is sort of a continuation of the same idea. Paul Rudish, who's the creator of the show, had he really loves sort of Disney lore and Disney, the older and often more obscure Disney things, and he has very good and strong instincts about Mickey Mouse. And he was saying he had this weird feeling that like the 30s was a really great place to be looking, kind of Louis Armstrong, sort of 30s jazz. And then he had this strong desire to use kind of mid-century modern sounds. And he wasn't quite sure why. And then he felt this like massive dip in his enthusiasm, like in the 40s, around the sort of Second World War era, swing bands and stuff. And I said, I was like, oh, I think that might be because the 30s is where Mickey Mouse was born. So he's like, this is his kind of origin story. But then the middle of the century is Disneyland, which is a sort of separate it's not on screen, but it's like separate birth for Mickey, because he's so central to Disneyland. And Disneyland is all about poster art and mid-century modern and monorails, and the music, it has that sort of modernism to it, vibraphones and guitars with effects and stuff. And Paul was like, a eureka, you know, that's it. So that's our sort of map was that we were allowed to use anything from the 20th century, but sort of with this special emphasis on these two quite different eras. We just had to sort of follow our instincts a bit.
And I suppose as well, there's one of the things I like about this. It kind of makes it feel that little bit sort of older and more traditional, like a Mickey Mouse cartoon, than like, even though it's like completely modern kind of thing.
Totally, yeah. And then each one, of course, has will have something about it that we need to discuss, and often there are sort of specific things that are being riffed on, you know, like some specific old Disney thing or Disney composer. He's very fond of for instance, the music that's playing as you wait outside the enchanted tiki room. There's this sort of jazz piano trio playing, where the people in the trio are making, with their mouths, just making animal noises. So we would sneak that kind of thing in. George Brunn's music from Jungle Book, music from the monorail. There's an episode in Mine Train. There's an episode called Nature's Wonderland, where he wanted to recreate a now defunct little bit of a ride called the Rainbow Caverns, which used to be at the end of Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland, which was torn down and replaced with what's the new one called?
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, yeah. But there's this wonderful, very odd piece of music used to play when you went through these rainbow caverns, with female vocals and theremin, and I wanted to try and find the original music, but there was nothing to be found. You know, I'm friendly with the Disney librarians, so often I can get the scores, but there's absolutely nothing remaining. They searched high and low and couldn't find it, so we just had to completely recreate that by listening to it. So Elyse sang the vocals, and I recreated the theremin effect, and so there's a lot of love goes into it, a lot of nerdy.
Yeah, and all the like little Easter eggs. I mean, and the Disney fans can pull off all that information. So, what was kind of like the biggest challenge working on this Mickey Mouse series?
Gosh, what was the biggest challenge?
Never seeing you
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
I mean, probably just the sheer variety of it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Paired with the TV schedule.
Yeah. It's always quick. There's never a lot of time. The most time there might be is having a bit of warning that a really crazy episode is coming, and I might start doing a bit of homework early. But very often, an episode would have to be written in about a week or so, and then the fixes and the sort of massaging would come in a second week, and then recording would be a third week, and final tweaks and the final sound mix would be the fourth week. By the fourth week, we were already starting to worry about the next one.
You'd also do 2 episodes at a time, often, when it was the shorter ones.
That's right.
So
I was going to ask, did you prefer doing kind of the Mickey Mouse shorts, or like the Wonderful World ones, which are obviously a bit longer?
I found in the end that they both had different things about them that I liked. I was very, very fond of the short form shape that I felt I could sort of tweak and polish every single thing, and it could feel like one piece of music, so that it was almost one breath, like one thought, you know. But when you got to the end of 3 minutes, you could return to where you were at the start, and it was very tangible. But I know that the animators and the directors loved the slightly longer form, because in the short ones they had always had to cut out enormous amounts. They were always saying all of the funniest bits have to go, everything that's not the plot has to go. And I started to get onto their wavelength, and after a while of doing the 7-minute ones, which is the longer ones, I on the summer episode, The Wonderful Summer, we had some sort of quasi 3-minute episodes because it's broken up into chunks. It has the same story from different people's point of view. And so I suddenly had the experience of going back to the way they were when they were very short, and I was reminded of, oh wow, these are very, very short. This is tricky. This has a different set of challenges. So yeah, it's hard to decide, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was just going to say to add on to the previous question about some of the challenges, that one of the things that we found with songwriting on the show was it wasn't a typical songwriting show where there's a lot of Disney shows or kids shows that you go into it knowing that there's going to be a song per episode, or, you know, they just have some sort of structure that's already laid out in advance. And this one was all very organic. And so it just, you know, I think also like the more comfortable they got with Chris and the more they saw his variety and the sort of depth of his talent, if I may say that sentence, you know, they were like, oh, great, we can do all these other things that we hadn't really thought of initially when we conceived of the show. And so it sort of branched into songs. And so, but sometimes those songs would not be sung by characters on screen, like it would be accompanying a montage, for instance. And so, you know, if there's a character singing on screen, you have to do the music, you know, really far in advance, right? Maybe sometimes in advance of anything having been drawn at all. But if there's a montage and no one is actually singing on screen, you can just draw and not only like sketch, but like complete the picture, right? Final picture of the cartoon before you actually do anything with the music. And so
and often I think they hadn't even decided that it would be a song. So so they wouldn't have had a chance to even warn us that this is a thing, because someone just decided that it would be a fun idea. Really
so a few times we had a little surprise where there would be like a minute or a minute and a half of silence, and we're like, what's this? And they're like, it's a song. And we're like, who's writing it? They're like, you are. It has to be done in the same time frame that all the other music is, and it also has to like make sense with the picture. So it has to look like we drew this to the song as opposed to the other way around.
Totally.
So there were some very specific challenges that we had to deal with on this, but it's good. I mean, we enjoy a good challenge. Yeah. So hopefully when people watch it, they think it was the other way around.
And I should say, but so that just to explain, it would be very often on a show to have a dedicated songwriter and a dedicated composer, or a dedicated team for both things. And there's sort of two jobs are considered about equal. So if you have a 22-minute show, like an Elena of Avalor or Lion Guard, then the composer is working full-time on the score, and then the songwriter is working full-time on the one song that will be in each episode. So to be about to score a 22-minute thing and to then find that there is actually a song in the middle, but there's no one else available to write it and no extra time. It's just crazy. It's almost like sort of doubling the workload. I don't know if that's quite true, but it's a lot.
Teamwork.
Yes. Right. Yep. I was going to ask, how did you kind of come together to like to work? Obviously, and as well being married. You know, is there challenges with working with your partner?
Well, I mean, I sort of got involved in this, you know, initially I was just involved purely as a singer and what we call a vocal contractor, which is the person who finds the singers that they need. So like one of the very first Mickey episodes was Yodelberg, which had 2 yodelers in it. And I wasn't involved at that point because this is super early in the process. But I gather that it was a bit of a challenge to find, you know, the right people, a male and a female yodeler, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think the other people at Disney were like, so Chris, you said your wife is a singer, right? Can you do this for us? Because this is hard. So I just kind of got brought on to just find the right people and sing on it when it was appropriate for me to sing on it too.
And it's very involved. And of course you were singing the demos too.
Yeah.
So you were starting to meet the team and kind of they were aware of you. all the way through that
I would
process.
sing demos for the score vocals, but also for like if the characters had to do something, then I might sing a demo for them just to learn whatever it was. But so yeah, so I got friendly over the years, and then really officially I kind of got involved when Homespun Melody came out. Do you remember the episode where Mickey has a pig?
Oh,
Yeah. So so basically that episode is just one giant song, which Chris is almost single-handedly responsible for, you know, figuring out the pacing of that episode, because he was pitched that episode before anything was drawn at all. And so he did a quite amazing job, I think, of like figuring out exactly the timing of everything. But yeah, he was trying to write some like bluegrass appropriate lyrics. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but he's not exactly like blue collar American cornbread. Whereas I am from Central California, so I didn't like grow up on a farm, but I'm like farm adjacent, and I just was like, you know what? Let me just help you a little bit with this. It's a little Gilbert and Sullivan-y right now.
Yeah,
let's
a little bit Monty Python.
Let's take it down a notch. Yeah.
I like farm adjacent.
I think I could say it was farm adjacent. Yeah.
Yeah, this is my wife. She's farm adjacent.
All right,
that's that thing as well of like you say of like, you know, like helping each other out, and then it's kind of gone on from there, which sounds great. So I'm gonna ask you, and obviously, you know, you might not be able to say, but are you working on any other projects for Disney right now? Obviously, you know, if you can't talk about it, that's different.
Well, we have. There's another Mickey special, as you could probably guess. There's a Wonderful Fall. No, it's not really Wonderful. It's called Wonderful Autumn, because Wonderful Fall sounds like he's falling down. Yeah. Wonderful Autumn of Mickey Mouse, which has a song in it that we think is very charming.
Yeah, a bit silly, but
it's a bit silly.
Yeah. We have been working on other things, but I don't know if we're actually anything.
She's been working on some huge things in particular.
Yes, good.
I've been, as a singer and contractor, I've been doing some really cool stuff that's coming out on Disney Plus, and I'm anxious to talk about it because it's really great. But I will just say that there's a lot of really good stuff coming out to Disney Plus, especially if you like, you know, good music, because there's some great stuff coming your way. So I'm excited.
I can't wait. It's such a tease.
I know.
Yeah, it's
good.
I just did a pilot that, again, I can't talk about, which I think is going final. I think it's fairly likely, and that'll be very exciting too. That'll be on Disney Plus, but again, I can't say anything about it.
It's good. It's cool. It's that kind of thing, especially now. Like Disney Plus is kind of really revving up. You know how much stuff it's making and different kinds of things. You know, there's so many different things to work on, and as I said, you've already worked on lots of like other projects. So I'm going to ask as our final question. What has been your favorite Disney Plus original so far? And I'm going to disqualify the wonderful the Mickey Mouse Show.
Oh no, that's not fair.
Yeah, yeah, that's our whole life.
I don't know. What do you think?
I suppose for me it would probably be the Mandalorian. Yeah. I got really into the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard for me not to say WandaVision.
Yeah.
Because
you've definitely got a little bit of an edge on that one there, I think.
I sure love it. But I will say actually that some of the things that I've been working on, I think could quickly become my favorites and a lot of favorites of people who are into Disney Plus, because I think there's some really good quality stuff, like some stuff that I was like, I mean, Disney Plus is great, but like, I kind of want to see this, you know, on the big screen. Like, I think people would really resonate with it. But on the other hand, it's great that it's on Disney Plus because so many people have access to it. So I think there's a really good slate of stuff coming your way.
Yeah, I've like been lucky enough to have gone to a couple of the premieres and watching things like Moon Knight in a big theater. You know, it does that kind of thing, and even shows like Dope Sick, you know, of kind of jumping out of being, you know, they just look because they are obviously at that quality. But yeah, it's just great to kind of, you know, hear there's lots of great stuff coming down the pipeline for Disney Plus, and obviously you guys are involved in so much. So thank you so much for taking your time out to speak to us today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to meet you.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Also, a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.